Hello everybody, welcome to the final match of the Gauntlet of Champions here on the Mana Vault. It's been a long, exciting ride. If you haven't seen any of the other videos, be sure to check those out. But for today, we've got myself playing Hammertime, we've got JC playing 4-color elementals. I can't wait to see what happens, and let's go ahead and crown the champion. All right, we got the finals. Let's see who's going first. Got an 8, that's pretty good for me.
I got a 7.
Ooh, I'm gonna go first.
Oh no, I don't like this.
I do. Hopefully I find, like your die roll, 7 good cards.
I mean, I would love to
you
find 8 good cards like yours,
because
but yeah,
that's
true. So. That's true. I do have a companion. Huh.
Unfortunately, I do not have 7 good cards, so I'm gonna mulligan.
I think this is keepable. I will keep it. Alrighty, so this opening hand is kind of slow, but it's got action for the late game. So I've got 3 lands, 2 copies of Cavern of Souls, the only ones in my deck, and a Ketria Triome. I've also got a Risen Reef, an Omnath, and 2 Solitudes. So I'm hoping that I can just sort of wait it out until turn 3, play that Risen Reef, draw another land, play an Omnath, try and generate some value. But I have the Solitudes in case I need to interact with what Austin's doing. So hopefully this hand is good enough.
All right, well, 7 didn't work. Hopefully this hand does better.
Better 6. Here's hoping.
It's better. A little bit, not the best, but I'm on the play. We'll try it. I'll put this one on the bottom.
Okay.
All right, so for game 1 here, I have a decent hand. I did have to mulligan, so I don't get to keep all of it. But in my hand, I have 1 land, the biggest issue with this hand. I've got just a basic plains. But that does let me cast a lot of the cards in my hand. I can cast the 2 Esper Sentinels that I have, as well as a Sigarda's Aid and a Colossus Hammer. So even if I get unlucky and never draw a land, I can at least kind of do some stuff. Last couple cards in my hand, I have a Pure Steel Paladin, which is a great card. If for some reason I lose my Sigarda's Aid later on, I can always reattach the hammer that way. And last card in my hand, which is going to the bottom, is a Spell Pierce because I don't have blue mana, and it's also not amazing into what JC's playing, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut that here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lead things off with a Plains and an Esper Sentinel.
You hate to see it.
And then I'll pass the turn.
Okay. I'm going to draw. I'm going to play a tapped Ketria Triome and pass the turn.
All right, I'll untap and draw, and thankfully that's a decent card. I'll play Urza Saga as my land for the turn. I'll then play a Sigarda's Aid. And I'll go to combat.
Yeah.
I'll attack for 1.
I sure am ready to take 1.
All right. This is kind of an all or nothing hand. We're just gonna play a hammer and see if you have the Solitude.
I do, in fact, have the Solitude, and I'm going to exile an Eladamri's Call to do so.
All right, so I'll gain a life.
You will gain a life.
And I will lose my Esper Sentinel, sadly. Hammer is just gonna chill.
You get a hammer.
Great. Go ahead.
All right. Untap and draw. I'm gonna play a Windswept Heath.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna pass the turn.
All right. I'll untap and draw. This will go up. And lucky for me, I have another land.
That's pretty good.
I'm okay with it. Here, I think I'm just gonna pass the turn.
Okay, on your end step, I'm gonna sacrifice my Windswept Heath and get a tapped, kind of like Spara's Headquarters here.
Sure thing.
I'm gonna untap
You got
and
it.
draw a card. Oh, that was a decent card. I'm gonna play a Cavern of Souls.
Yep.
And I'll name Elementals.
Sure thing.
And then I'll play a Risen Reef.
You got a Risen Reef.
Trigger Risen Reef. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna put this in my hand, and I'm gonna pass to you.
Well, at the end of your turn, I have 2 mana and an Urza Saga on 2. So I'll make a construct.
Yep.
From Unstable.
You got it.
No less. All right. I'll draw, and I think I just want to make another construct here.
Yeah, makes sense.
With this trigger on the stack here. So I'll make another construct. And then I am going to search for another Colossus hammer.
Okay.
All right, so that hammer comes into play, and because of my Sideboarding aid, I'll go ahead and attach it to the construct I made last turn.
I want to respond to that.
Sure. Do we have another Solitude?
I got another Solitude, and this time I'm exiling a Nomnath, unfortunately.
All right.
I do have a Risen Reef trigger, so I will resolve that, put this card in my hand. I will exile the construct that
before it
triggers.
attaches, I
Yep.
imagine. I'll still gain 4 life.
Yes, you will.
Really? Another Solitude? At least it's getting a lot of cards out of your hand, but come on. I want to attach these hammers. Stop playing Solitudes. I'll just have to find another way to win. All right. Well, in that case, I'll play an Arid Mesa. I'm going to fetch up a untapped Hollowed Fountain.
Okay.
And then I'll use my last mana here for an Esper Sentinel.
That one is in fact an artifact.
I have nothing else I can really do this turn, so I'll just pass.
Okay. I'll untap and draw. I'm going to start by playing a Wren and 6.
Would you like to pay 1?
I would, in fact, like to pay the 1 so that you don't draw a card. And then comes in with 3 loyalty. I think what I want to do here is I'm just going to kill your Esper Sentinel.
Unfortunate.
And then I will play a tapped Hollowed Fountain as my land for turn.
Yep.
And I will pass.
All right. I'll untap and draw. I'll pay 2 for a Pure Steel Paladin.
Oh, I don't like that.
I would like to attach both of my hammers to this construct.
That sure is happening.
All right. I will go to combat.
You sure will.
I'll attack you for 23.
I have no choice.
Okay. Risen Reef dies. Second main, I'm going to move over 1 hammer to the Pure Steel Paladin.
Yep, you got it.
And after that, I'm all set.
Okay. I'll untap and draw. Okay. Let's start by casting an Oath of Nissa.
Yep.
1, 2, and 3. I guess I'll put this Stomping Ground in my hand.
Sounds good to me. It's not something scary.
No, sure isn't. All right, so I drew an Oath of Nissa. I need something here, any action. And I play it, and I look at 3, and it's 2 lands and a spell I can't take. Great. I already have 1 Unholy Heat in hand. It doesn't do anything here. I can't take the second one, so I'm taking this land and I'm just dead. I'm just dead. Yeah, unfortunately, I just look to be dead on board. I don't have anything.
No creatures?
I ran out when you made me Solitude all your guys.
You used all your Solitudes.
Yeah. I guess let's go to game 2.
All right. Go to your sideboard, get into game 2. All right, for the sideboard here, I am very scared of JC's Solitudes and other threats. They almost made me lose game 1, and I want to try to prevent that from happening in further games. So I'm bringing in 2 Hushbringers and 2 Lavinias. Hushbringer's nice, turns off all of those wonderful ETBs that JC's running in that deck. Also turns off mine. Oh wait, I don't really have any of those, so that's fine. The only real downside is he can play things for their evoke cost, but keep the body around, but I can make things bigger. And then the Lavinias turn off the ability to do that without, you have to spend mana to be able to cast them. So nice to turn off any of those pitch elementals that JC is trying to enforce on me. As far as what I'm taking out, a couple copies of Spell Pierce. JC's pretty heavily creatures. His non-creature spells, I'm not that worried about. I mean, sometimes they're a little bit annoying.
They're also kind of cheap though, so.
Right, I'm not going to get under it very often or want to have the mana open for the Spell Pierce. And if it resolves, it's not the end of the world for me. Usually I want to have Spell Pierce for something that if it resolves, I lose the game.
Yeah.
And then what else? Memnite, not really going to get in very often. It's on the ground. JC's got big blockers, so just kind of shaving on one copy there. And then Steel Shaper's Gift, while it's fine to be able to tutor up some sort of artifact, it's a little bit slower, and I'd prefer to get in earlier this game before JC starts to really establish his board presence.
Yeah. So you might notice that I'm bringing in 2 copies of Magus of the Moon, and you might wonder why a 4-color deck would do that. Well, it's because it's worse for Austin than it is for me. I have basics, I can play around it. I have Abundant Growth, I have Oath of Nissa. I can find ways to get my colors of mana. Austin, on the other hand, loses some sagas.
There's a saga goes away, and you don't lose to Inkmoth. So.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm also bringing in 1 more Fury to make it a full 4, and then Night of Autumn blows up an artifact or enchantment. Also can just be a body that's reasonably sized to start smacking through if these creatures are in play. As far as what I'm taking out, Endurance, not that great against you. It's just a reach body, and it blocks an Inkmoth, but honestly, so does Icefang Quaddle, and I'd rather have that because it draws me a card. Titania is for slower, grindier games, and I need to be quick against you. And then I'm just shaving 1 of the Ephemerates because I have more, and I don't need all of these, and it means that I've already got a setup going, so I should probably be in good shape anyway.
All right, let's go ahead and get into game 2.
Game 2. My turn to go first.
Your only turn to go first, because if you win, I get to go first.
That's true. No, this hand is not quite good enough. It's really close, but I'm going to mulligan.
This hand is interesting. I'm going to try it and probably regret my decisions. All right, for game 2, my opening hand is a little bit clunky, a little bit awkward, but I've got some sideboard tech, so I'm going to try it out. I've got 3 lands, an Inkmoth Nexus, Seacrim Coast, and Flooded Strand. So I've got all the colors that I might need, and even an Inkmoth, which I could potentially get in there with a sneaky Infect win. As far as the rest of my hand, everything's a 2-drop. I've got Stoneforge Mystic, Pure Steel Paladin, the Reality Chip, and sideboard card Lavinia. So a little bit awkward that I'm kind of playing behind the curve, not getting anything down on turn 1. But I do have all of that sideboard, and we'll just see what happens here.
Let's try that again.
Let's do so. What do you got this time? Anything good enough to play?
It's risky, but I can see how I do things, so I'm going to keep it. I'll put 1 on the bottom. So this hand's a little lighter on lands, but a little heavier on spells, and I kind of like that. I've got Aspara's Headquarters, and I've got a Stomping Ground as my lands. I've got a Prismatic Ending for early threats, an Icefang Quaddle to draw me an extra card, and I've got a Teferi. Teferi's not amazing here, but it does slow down Austin's tempo, and that's a big deal. I do have to put this Omnath on the bottom, but I'm going to try and generate some value off of the Icefang and the Ephemerate and see if I can draw into some finishers. Okay, so I'm going to start with a Aspara's Headquarters.
You got it.
And I'm going to pass.
All right. I'm going to start with a Seacrim Coast.
Okay.
And
don't you do it.
I'll just play a hammer.
Okay,
Go
sure.
ahead.
Draw. Okay. I'm going to shock a Stomping Ground, go to 18. And I'm going to pass the turn.
What does that mean? That means Icefang, probably. Interesting. Alright, I am going to play a Flooded Strand.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and sacrifice it to grab a Basic Plains.
Okay.
Alright, and then we'll slow things down a little bit and play Lavinia.
I'll respond.
Yep.
I'm going to flash this in.
Sure.
I'm going to draw a card.
You got it.
Yeah, that happens.
Alright, I got nothing else I want to do, so I'll just pass.
Okay. I will draw. Okay, okay. That's not nothing. I'm going to play a Snow-Covered Plains.
Yep.
And as I do have 3 lands, I'm going to play a Teferi.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bounce your Lavinia and draw a card. I'm going to attack you for 1.
I'll take the 1.
And I'll pass.
All right. Interesting. All right. I'll play an Urza Saga as my land for the turn.
Okay.
And then I'm going to play the reality chip.
You have a reality chip.
Go ahead.
Okay. On tap and draw. Well, I'm going to tick up my Teferi.
Yep.
And then I think I'm going to just attack you for 1.
I'll take it.
Second main phase, I'd like to ephemerate my Ice Fang Quaddle.
I see you're looking for lands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
Okay, so goes away, comes back. This goes to exile, but I will draw a card. Alrighty. Did in fact find a land.
That's bad.
Yeah, I'm going to sacrifice it, and I'm going to grab a... I'm going to grab a basic forest.
Sure.
Okay, then I'm going to tap for a red and a green and play Wrenn and 6.
Red and $60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to tick this up
Sure.
and get that Wooded Foothills back to my hand.
Yep.
Put that right there, and with that, I'm going to pass the turn.
All right. I'll untap and draw. Put this up. Interesting. All right. I think here what I want to do is play an Inkmoth Nexus.
Okay.
I'll then pay 2 for a Pure Steel Paladin.
That is, in fact, a Pure Steel Paladin.
I would then like to pay 1 to activate Inkmoth Nexus, turning it into a creature.
That happens.
And then I would like to equip the reality chip.
Okay.
I'll pay 1 and play Gingerbread off the top of my deck.
You got a Ginger Brute.
Then I am going to move the hammer onto the Gingerbread.
That happens.
No Death Touch right now.
No Death Touch.
All right. Let's go to combat. And I'm actually going to attack Wrenn and 6 here.
Attack Wrenn and 6. I will cast a sorcery at instant speed because it's a fairy.
Sure.
And I will exile the Ginger Brute.
Okay. It's exiled. I got nothing else.
Okay.
I'll just pass.
I'll untap. And on my upkeep, I will rebound the Ephemerate.
Sure.
And I'll target Ice Fang Quaddle.
You got it.
Draw a card. Draw for turn. Alrighty. Well, let's start with everybody's favorite.
Yep, you got a Risen Reef.
The Risen Reef. I will put this Hollowed Fountain into play tapped.
All right.
Then...
He's getting mana. I'm getting scared.
I'm going to tap for a red, and I'll play Lightning Bolt, targeting your Pure Steel Paladin.
That's sad. Yeah. It wasn't until this moment that I realized I forgot to move the hammer onto my Paladin after combat and losing out on my Ginger Brute. This is awful. I hope this didn't just cost me the game.
My land for the turn is going to be that Wooded Foothills again.
All right.
And I'm going to crack it to go find another basic forest.
Sure thing.
I'm going to tick up Wren and 6
Yep.
on the Wooded Foothills. I'm going to tick up to Fairy, and I'm going to pass.
All right, I'll untap and draw.
Chapter 3.
Yep. I'm just gonna float a colorless here,
Okay.
and I'm gonna grab a spring leaf drum.
Okay.
All right, so I've got one colorless floating. What I'm gonna do here, hopefully you don't have too much interaction with just green, but I'll go ahead and pay 2. Leave the colors floating to recast the Lavinia from earlier.
She's back. Yep, that happens.
And then I'm going to use the colorless. I'll make a blue here and tap this to reconfigure this onto Lavinia.
That happens.
I'll then play Urza Saga as my land for the turn.
Okay.
And then I'll pay 1 to cast a Shadow Spear.
Okay.
I'll pay 0 to cast a memory.
Yep.
And then, it's not attached, obviously. I've got nothing else that I can do. I've used all my mana. Everything came in this turn. So I'll just pass the turn.
Okay. I will untap. And I will draw. Well, okay. Let's start with 4 mana.
Sounds like Omnath.
It's an Omnath.
Yep.
Got a couple triggers here. I'm going to resolve Omnath's draw, and then I'm going to resolve Risen Reef.
Sure thing.
All right, so I will draw a card.
Yep.
And then I will look at the top card. It is a breeding pool, so I'll put it in tapped.
You gain 4 life.
I gain 4 life. Then I will play a Wooded Foothills that we know about.
Yep, you got 4 mana.
I got 4 mana. I will sacrifice the Wooded Foothills to go find a Sacred Foundry untapped. Alrighty, so when Sacred Foundry enters, you're going to take 4.
Yep, I take 4. So do all of my planeswalkers.
All none of them. To that floating mana, I will add another red, and I will cast a Fury.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. When Fury enters, I have 2 triggers. I'll start with the 4 damage. I'll deal 3 and 1.
They will die.
And then I will resolve a Risen Reef, and this will go to my hand. Then I'm going to tick up the Wren and 6
Yep.
and put this back. I'm gonna tick up the Teferi, and I'll go to combat.
Sure.
And I will. You do have an Ink Moth Nexus, and that makes me a little nervous.
I do have Inkmoth.
I think that just to be on the safe side, I'm just gonna attack you for 1.
All right, I'll take 1.
Okay, I will pass the turn.
All right, I'll untap, draw my card. Okay. All right, here I'm gonna go ahead and lead off with 2 mana. And I'll play a Stone Forge Mystic.
Sure, you got it.
I am going to grab Cauldra Complete. All right, let's see what that is. All right, just what I wanted. I'm gonna go ahead and play a Seacrum Coast.
Ah, I see.
And then I have no other actions I wish to take.
Well, on your end step, I'll tap for a white and a green, and I will try to prismatic ending your Stoneforge Mystic.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's exiled.
My turn?
Yep.
Untap. Untap, untap. Draw. Okay, so that was a good draw. Going to start. I'm going to start, actually, this is probably a better way to do it. I'm going to start by paying 3 mana for an Obsidian Charmaw.
Yeah.
And I'm going to destroy your Inkmoth Nexus.
It's dead.
Then I'm going to pay another 3 mana for a Knight of Autumn. And this one's going to blow up your Urza Saga.
I mean, I can make a token in response, but I'm very dead here. I'm not able to do anything anymore with what I've got, so let's just go to game 3.
All right, sounds good.
All right, let's go ahead and go to game 3 where I get to go first again.
No, but I'm sad now.
Maybe I'll keep some stuff that I can do earlier in the game.
That would be nice for you.
Interesting. I think I'll try this.
I think this hand's a little too slow, and I would rather see a new one.
All right, so my opening hand here in game 3 is pretty decent. It's just kind of like missing one piece that I need. I've got 2 lands. I have an Inkmoth Nexus and a Marsh Flats, so pretty good there. A Springleaf Drum to help me get more mana. I also have a Giver of Runes, which is always great to play on turn 1, helps me set up protection for the future turns. And then the hand gets a little bit awkward. I have 2 Sigardazades. Don't really need to. I guess if JC has a prismatic ending for one of them, at least I have redundancy, but I'd rather have something else in this hand. Then the last card is a sideboard card, which is going to do me wonders, hopefully. I have a Hushbringer here, so I'm really excited to stop JC from getting those ETBs.
All right, run it back.
Will you draw cards that are playable this time? Nobody knows.
In some sense, all these cards are playable.
You'll know soon.
I know right now. Yeah, I like this hand a good deal better, and I'm going to put this card on the bottom. I don't absolutely love this hand, but I see what it does to get me to where I want to be. So I've got 3 lands, 2 Flooded Strands, and a Sacred Foundry, and I've got an Ice Fang, I've got a Solitude, and a Knight of Autumn. I did mulligan, so I'm going to put this Snow-Covered Plains on the bottom, but I've got my white sources already from the fetch lands and the Sacred Foundry, and all I need to do is get some green and blue, and I can try and dig a little deeper, interrupt what Austin's doing by blowing up one of his artifacts or exiling one of his creatures, and hopefully that's good enough.
All right, I'll go ahead and lead things off with a Marsh Flats, and I will, let's just grab a Hallowed Fountain. And I'll use that 1 mana for a Giver of Runes.
Okay.
And then I'll pass.
Giver does not make me happy.
It givers me protection.
That's true. I'm going to play a Flooded Strand,
Sure.
and it's going to immediately disappear. And I will grab an untapped. It's going to be a Temple Garden.
All right.
All right, and then I'm going to tap it
Okay.
for a green. Play an Abundant Growth.
Yep.
Draw a card. Pass the turn.
All right. I'll untap and draw. Interesting. I'll go ahead and play an Inkmoth Nexus.
Okay.
And then let's play a Springleaf Drum.
Springleaf Drum it is.
Don't normally love to tap my creature, but I'll do it here.
Yeah,
I'll
fair
make
enough.
mana. And I'd like to play a Hushbringer.
A Hushbringer. I would like to respond to that, I think. Actually, no, that's fine.
All right. I'm all set after that.
Well, I'm going to get a free 3/2.
Sure.
Exiling Knight of Autumn.
Go ahead. I'm just glad that Knight of Autumn isn't coming down to wreck me, and neither is Solitude.
That's true. That's true.
A 3/2 I can beat. Losing 2 things I cannot.
I'll attack you for 3.
I'll take the 3.
And I will gain 3. Then I will play a Spar's Headquarters and pass.
Alright, I'll untap and draw. Interesting. Alright, I'll play a Giver.
Nice, nice.
And then I'll just pass.
Okay. I will untap and draw. Play a Sacred Foundry.
Yep.
And I will pass the turn.
Alright. Interesting. Right. I'll pay 1. I'm going to play a Sigarda's Aid.
Yeah, I don't super care for that, but it happens.
After that, I would like to just pass the turn.
Okay. I'll flash in an Ice Fang Quaddle on your end step.
You have a 1/1.
Sure do. It does fly.
It does fly. Just doesn't draw cards.
Sure doesn't. Well, I'm going to... I'm going to play a land.
Yep.
And I'm pretty good on colors here, so I'm going to sacrifice it and go get a basic plains.
Sure thing.
Then I'm going to pay 4 mana
Yep.
for an Omnath.
You have
It
a
doesn't do
4/4.
anything.
So, seeing this Omnath come down here, not that scary. I've been very impressed by the Touchbringer so far this game. He didn't get to draw a card off the Ice Fang. The Solitude's just a 3/2 lifelinker, didn't really do anything. And now Omnath just came in as a 4/4. He's not getting to draw cards. I'm not scared about future Solitudes or Furies or really anything out there. So I'm pretty happy with what's happening here.
And then I also want a 3/3 with double strike.
Sure.
Exiling another Fury. I got an Omnath into play. I got a Fury into play. I have some big bodies. They're bigger than what Austin has. I'm hoping that's enough. But that Sigarda's Aid is making me nervous, and he does have an Ink Moth, so one time, don't have it, Austin? One time. Yeah, that double giver is problematic for me, so I'm just going to pass the turn.
All right. I'll untap and draw. No cards in hand?
No cards in hand. If you got it, you got it.
Yep. So I'll go ahead and make Ink Moth a creature here. I'll make a mana by tapping the Hushbringer to put a hammer on the Ink Moth.
That sure happens.
Oh, I'm doing this at instant speed after I attack, by the way. Sorry. I need to do this correctly. So the Ink Moth is attacking, and then I'll play the hammer, or give it protection from green, then play the hammer.
Yeah, I sure
So
can't
that
do
you
anything
can't
about
block with
that.
the flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of had the great draw, so.
Didn't have much mana, but I got there anyway.
Yep. Well, thanks for the games.
Good games.